Everyone, it's Victor speaking again, and I'm here today again with Barbara. As we promised, we are going to finish the cardinal signs, how Saturn will affect you, especially with this super conjunction happening in the sky right now. So we already went through Aries, Cancer, and Libra. So if you were born in one of those signs, then you can check up those videos. I'm going to put the link below. And then today we're going to check the very last cardinal sign, which is Capricorn. The reason why it's interesting, because it means that you are in a Saturn return period as well. How are you doing, Barbara?
Hey, Victor, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome.
I'm excited about the Capricorn energies. So maybe let's
Yeah.
start it then. Before actually we just dive into what each sign can expect, I just wanted to tell you guys that uh, the very last Saturn period, when Saturn was in the sign of Capricorn, that was in 1959 January till 1962 January. And then we had one in 1988 February till 1991 February. And then obviously we have got the very recent one, which started 2017 December, at the end of December. And actually, Saturn will be there till the end of March, and then it's going to leave the sign of Capricorn for a short amount of time, approximately about 4 months, and then again it's going to come back to Capricorn for a little bit more. The reason why it's an interesting period for you, as I said, you are having your Saturn return as well. Now, this is something people tend to be afraid of. But it's not always about, Saturn is not always about fears and blockages and obstacles. Saturn actually has got the meaning of becoming more mature, getting the reward, what you worked for such a long time. Now, the first Saturn return usually talks about actually becoming an adult and taking responsibility for your actions, becoming more serious about who you want to be, who you want to become, and so forth. We know that Saturn has got a cycle of 28 to 30 years. So it's a lifetime, it's a once in a lifetime feeling what you're going to be going through, and then you really just need to grab the best possible outcome with this Saturn return. And the second Saturn return is more about getting ready for a transformation, because the second Saturn return happens around the age of 58, 59, meaning that you have to get ready to take some rest, for instance, to get old, to chill out a little bit. It's not about working hard anymore. It's about having that balance in your life when you, yes, go to work and then be productive, but taking extra care of yourself as well, and then just taking the sunny side of things also. And then if you are able to maintain these energies, then we don't need to be afraid of Saturn energies. What do you think, Barbara, about
I
Saturn returns?
I wholeheartedly agree with you. Saturn returns are definitely about maturity. They're definitely about assessing your growth, and they're about assessing just where you are. Saturn is about karma and fears, so it's about just kind of maybe taking stock of that, and asking yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I allowing to hold me back, if there are things that are holding you back? Because obviously that doesn't apply to everyone. It could be about dusting off your dreams, and just saying, you know what, I've let that sit on the shelf for far too long. It's time for me to get real and get going.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a time for deep analysis, self-analysis, and then and hopefully to discover and explore some of the things that will create an unshakable core self, and hopefully that will create a lifetime of growth. It can be about addressing some emotional baggage, depending on where Saturn sits in your chart. especially with the Pluto-Saturn conjunction, you know, because Pluto's about power. And it might be, some of us may feel powerless in our lives, and some of us may be feeling powerful. You know,
Yes.
it really depends, because this is a conjunction. The return is about the conjunction, and depending on the placement of the other, of course, the other planets in their chart, really can it really depends on the outcome or the energy expression that Saturn will play in that person's life. But ultimately, I personally believe that despite the fact that, you know, Saturn is about things that it's about responsibility, it's about the individual's perspective, and how we go about taking on those challenges and taking on those responsibilities that Saturn sort of implores us to do, and to meet them head on and just say, you know what, let's go, let's rock with it. You know?
You know, I completely agree with you. And if I really think about what Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn wants, nothing else but respect. And Saturn wants the same as well. Saturn in Capricorn will work hard for it. So if you put the energy into anything you want to achieve, Saturn will grant that for you. But one very important reminder for everyone who was born with a natal Saturn in the sign of Capricorn: this year is not the year when you can take the easy road. That's completely not favored during this transit at all. Now, especially we're talking about those people, again, who have got their Saturn after the 22nd degree of Capricorn. This Saturn, Pluto, South Node, Jupiter transit is actually might be reminding you of cutting out your losses, and not thinking about them anymore, not becoming depressed over these things, and build up again your castle, basically, but make sure it has got a stronger foundation.
Yeah.
So I know someone asked me why I mentioned Libra is going to feel that a little bit stronger than Capricorn. And my answer is that this conjunction is really much about making the right choice. Saturn demands simplicity. It's all about realism. So don't go overboard. Don't be too dreamy about it, because it just wants definition. It is testing you, actually, whether, you know, you can take the pressure or not. This is not a period when you should be complaining. This is all about going for it, working hard for it, and you will see 2021 or even 2020 at the end of the year, you will see the reward Saturn is going to give you. It's all about controlling the present, not thinking about the past, and not necessarily looking into the future either that strongly. It's just all about concentrating on the moment, what you are in.
I agree. You know, you've seen my chart, and you know that I have Mercury in Pisces. So with that placement, I tend to think of in life, in terms of music and movies oftentimes. So what came to mind with thinking about Saturn is a very popular film from 1984 called Karate Kid. I don't know if you saw it,
Yeah.
but basically the two primary actors, Ralph Macchio, I think that's his name. Incidentally, he was born with Saturn and Capricorn at 24 degrees. And then Pat Morita, who played a Japanese immigrant, Mr. Miyagi. And I believe that Mr. Miyagi in the film was Saturn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so basically the premise is that the Karate Kid, his name was Daniel, his character's name was Daniel. He's basically being bullied. That's sort of the beginning of the movie. Where he was being bullied by some kids who knew karate, and Mr. Miyagi came to his rescue using karate, and he was amazed. And so he asked Mr. Miyagi if he would teach him how to, to learn karate so that he could fight back. He came to a point he's like, I don't want to be bullied anymore. You know, this was the lessons that he was, you know, life was beating him down. So the bullies were beating him down. He was like, you know, it's coming to a point where I don't want this to happen anymore. And he asked Mr. Miyagi, Saturn, can you teach me how I can fight back? So reluctantly, he did. He agreed to help him. But when he showed up at Mr. Miyagi's house, he thought that he was going to start learning karate immediately. But he was actually met with chores. He had to wax Mr. Miyagi's cars. There were like 20 cars, and there was very specific techniques that Mr. Miyagi had.
Yeah, with certain
motions.
Yeah,
wax on, wax off. And then it was sanding of the floor, sanding of the floor. And then it was the painting of the fence. And so for days, he came to his home and he was basically put under the most stress and labor. And, working all day, expecting each day to come to learn karate. And then he said, you know what? I'm done. You're supposed to be teaching me karate, and all I'm doing is painting your house. I'm doing all your chores. And so Mr. Miyagi then says to him, Daniel's son, let me show me wax on, wax off. And so he showed him, and then he says no, and he basically motioned how he should be doing the motion, and then he struck at him, and he was able to use that, the techniques that he was doing, cleaning and all those chores. Basically, he didn't realize that he was learning. And so that's kind of what like Saturn is. It's like these tough lessons that you think, why am I doing this? Why did I have to do this? And it's really teaching you how to survive. And then when you kind of look back and reflect, and you're like, that's why. And that's what I start calling wax on, wax off moments. The things in life where you think they have no purpose, but you realize ultimately they do. Yeah. That's
a very nice comparison, actually. But even if we take the medical astrology, Saturn rules your spine. The question is whether you can hold that posture, or you just gonna go, you're not going to be able to, because you go into that depressed mode. So it's all about holding that posture up, and then just go ahead, even if someone wants to knock you down, because that's going to happen. You're going to meet someone who is going to want to take the control over you. Remembering that Saturn always has got the last word. And Saturn wants to restore the order. So if you have not been living your life, according to your own morals and your goals, then Saturn is going to step in. So I recommend everyone just to think about these analogs, looking into that mirror and then really examining yourself truly where you are on the road, and then you're going to see, how it will affect you. Is it going to be positive, or is it going to be a little bit challenging? So we thought that today we're going to mix up a little bit things, and we're going to start today with the Capricorn Rising sign to see how they will manifest, and then we're going to go house by house position. So Barbara, how do you feel about Capricorn Rising sign? We'll feel this energy.
For Capricorn Rising, this transit or conjunction is happening in your natal first house. So again, the first house is the house of the self, the physical body, the I am, right? It's also the house of beginnings. And I would say it's about this transit. It's also about reclaiming your time, So I think this transit is asking Capricorn Rising to assess it's about redefining their life. Who do you say you are? Are you letting others define you? It's also, I think, challenging you to think about your positive or negative self-talk, because if you are not speaking greater things within yourself, then how do you think you're going to achieve the goals that you have for yourself? And it might be about, you know, just totally embarking on a new path in life, you know, because again, it's about new beginnings. And so it could be about assessing some familial traditions and whether or not you're wanting to, you know, carry out that path that your parents you know, taught you, or whether you're going to go about your own direction in life. So, you know, those are some of the things that I think are relevant to this transit. What do you?
Yeah, I also believe that, you know, natally Saturn in the sign of Capricorn talks about discipline and personal strength. And when you've got a Saturn transit, or when you've got transits coming around, challenging your natal Saturn, it's actually going to ask you how much you learned about discipline and personal strength. And Saturn is the planet of test anyway. So it is going to be testing how you are able to manage your resources and your time, actually how much your body can take. The first house talks about what we like doing and what we don't like. Also, it talks about your approach to life. Yes, Saturn can make you depressive, or actually you switch that department off and you say, you know what, I know this is only happening for a short amount of time. I don't take notice of that, and I'm gonna be doing my best to get over this period. Because we're talking about the first and the seventh axis. It could be talking about interpersonal relationships as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have to overcome a resentment and jealousy. Maybe it's something to do with money matters, because also Saturn rules your second house as well. But if it's a projection onto your partner, then it's more about your own self-confidence, projecting that onto your partner. And all these planetary alignment is pretty much talking about letting your ego go away for a second and then look at yourself from a different angle. And then you're gonna see how you action on things, and then you're gonna see that, hello, this is completely abnormal. This is not the way how I operate. I need to get back on the roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And so,
yeah, sorry.
And so what we also talked about was, there are these oracle cards. Before we move on to the next sign, I love this deck. It's called The Universe. Has your back, or has my back. So with Capricorn Rising, before we move on to the next sign, I'm just going to pull an oracle card for you. So there it is.
Do whatever it takes to get closer to your consciousness.
Wow. I think exactly that's really
what we kind of describe as well.
Exactly.
So the cards are definitely on our side.
Yes, for sure.
Great. Let's move on to Aquarius. Let's see how they manifest this energy.
Aquarius? Okay. So for Aquarius Rising, this transit is going to be happening in your 12th house, your natal 12th house. So the 12th house is all about, you know, your subconsciousness and your private affairs, secret enemies. It's a house of isolation. It's a house of sleep and your dreams, foreign travel, loss, your self-undoing habits, your spiritual debts. It's about the house of your hidden strength and weaknesses. It's, you know, about unconditional love and empathy. So I believe for Aquarius Risings having their Saturn return, all of those things are very much present, you know, just the wake-up call that your subconscious self is having in this moment, thinking about maybe the losses that you've had, maybe the dreams that you've let die, and, you know, through your self-undoing habits, and maybe really trying to get in touch with your hidden strengths, the things that the weaknesses that you have, and trying to strengthen them, you know. So oftentimes our muscles atrophy because we don't work at them. So it's about daring to work at those muscles to make them stronger. So yeah, so what else do you have that you wanted to share about this?
I would just want to say that Saturn is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. So it's going to be touching your rising sign, your first house,
Yes.
for a four month between the end of March till beginning of July. This is, I would say, you've got the next couple of months to get ready for that period and go into that period with as much optimism as you can. Because this Saturn Jupiter conjunction, which is going to be happening on the very beginning of your rising sign, is going to be defining you for the next 20 years. How optimistic you are, how much of a go-getter you become with the energy. Because let's not forget, Jupiter wants to give, Saturn wants you to measure and then proportionize things.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be happening on a fixed star called Altair, which is talking about boldness. So it's all about taking risks, coming out of your shell. If you've got any idea, go and then manifest that. But as you mentioned, 12 house is all about weaknesses. It is time to leave that behind. It is all about now focusing on, on your strength rather than on your weaknesses. Unfortunately, 12th house could be an indication of chronic illnesses. Maybe it's an indication also here that you have to take a different approach to your lifestyle. Let's not forget that we also have got Uranus squaring them as well from the sign of Taurus. So, Uranus is going to be questioning them how much you can liberate yourself. Do you actually have sleeping problems? Are you taking naps when your body needs one? And so on. Sure. So it could be a little bit of a challenge for Aquarius rising.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the two malefic houses. And it's not easy. It's not easy to let go of your past, your karmic signatures, and so on. And this is what the 12th house talks about. But you have to try.
Yeah. So with the Oracle card, there was one that fell on the ground, and I feel like I need to pick it up instead of pulling out this. So I'm going to bend down and pick it up. Okay. Actually, I'm sorry. There are actually 3 that came out. I thought it was just 1. So Aquarius Rising, you get 2 cards. So I'll let you read that one.
I'm unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. And this is the second one that fell out.
Obstacles are detours in the right direction.
Nice. All right. So.
Let's see our next sign. Pisces.
Pisces. All right. Pisces Rising. I don't know if my arrow's going to stick. I have multiples here just in case they fall on the ground. So with Pisces Rising, this Saturn Pluto, or your Saturn return and the Saturn Pluto conjunction is happening in your 11th house. So the 11th house is about your hopes and your wishes, your friends, your alliances, your long-term goals and your charitable works. It's about unexpected gains. Sometimes the circumstances that are beyond your control, and it's about the love that we receive. So with Pisces Rising, I wanted to first focus on the friendship energy, your social networks. I think this could be about assessing your social group, your friendship group. Who do you have around you? And it might be about restructuring that. Are your friends or your social networks a good representation of who you are and where you want to go? Do they inspire you? Do they encourage you to be great? Sometimes with this placement with a natal Saturn in the 11th, sometimes you might be a little bit standoffish in terms of like your friendship group. So maybe this is about working through those energies and trying to reconnect with people. So again, this is also maybe about manifesting your long-term goals, about, you know, trying to create a concrete plan of action, and in order to sort of manifest those things that your heart desires. So those are some of the energies that I think can be expressed through this transit for Pisces rising. Do you have anything else to?
Oh, yes. Oh, of course, always.
So much, right?
Yeah. You know, just taking the friendship a little bit further, because there is this letting go energy in the 11th house.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Pisces has got the tendency for obsessions. It might be an indication that the poisonous type of friendships need to be cut out of your life. And maybe some of your relationships to your friends or extended family needs to be laid on a new foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Also, 11th house talks about organizations you work for. So it might be talking about the fact that actually you have been thinking about maybe letting go of your organization you work for and then create your own one.
Yeah.
But we need to remember one thing here. Saturn is not about talk, it's about action. So don't just think about it, then make the necessary steps as well. You know, Saturn is the planet of testing. So some of your friendship most probably are going to get tested. With that Pluto energy there, maybe some of you will be jealous of you, jealous of your results. And you're gonna see them crystal clear who they are. And that's the reason why you're gonna be cutting them away from you. Yes, Saturn might make you a little bit lonely here, or you might prefer staying alone a little bit. But the question is, which one is better? Having people around you who are not true to yourself or true to you, or actual, not so many friends, but they are the true ones, who is always going to be rock solid next to you. You know, and I feel like this is going to be questioned here quite strongly.
I agree. I'm glad you mentioned that, because this could also be about, as you said, manifesting. Maybe there's some Pisces who've actually had some gains in their lives, and it could be about those friends that are not so happy. Yeah, unfortunately, and that again, it's about, you know, if your friends aren't for you, then why are they in your life? You know, and so sometimes it can be difficult to make those decisions about separating yourself from them, because Saturn has an energy of separation, you know, so.
And while you are shuffling the cards, I would just want to add to it that 11th house talks about publicity as well.
Yes.
Your long-term goals, your hopes and dreams. So for instance, if you've got a dream to become world known for any type of, let's say, researches you've done, or you created something, actually this year could be the year when you just need to let go of your fears and then, I don't know, hand in that book you wrote, or you know, hand in that invention you created,
Yeah.
and so forth. You
Or
have
that script.
you have to learn identifying, you know, the potential in you, and you have to learn how to overcome the fear of failure. And then the doors are open for you. You just have to walk in.
I agree. Okay,
So
so the Oracle card, basically, you want to read that?
Oneness is a true nature. Oneness is my true nature.
Oneness is my true nature. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think that could be relevant. Again, it's, you know, if you're talking about your friendship, you're wanting to align with them and become, you know, sort of, not that they defined you, but, you know, a collective group, singular, you know, group creating, even though that there may be multiple people involved, collectively we create. We're one. Collectively, for
And you
one.
know, Saturn in the 11th house natally can suggest loneliness already. Can suggest that you are not so much of a person who likes being with plenty of friends. And this card talks about oneness.
Yeah.
Card talks about that actually there needs to be only one person, and that person can conquer the world. So it really belongs to Saturn in the 11th house, surely.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about Aries?
So for Aries rising, this Saturn return and Saturn-Pluto conjunction is happening in your 10th house. So the 10th house is the house of your public status, your occupation, your, it is also about your goals. It's, you know, it's a very visible house. So again, with this transit, I want to introduce the idea of the sex, SECTS, you know, because this Saturn is above the horizon. So it really depends on your chart again, but it's believed that Saturn above that horizon line may not be as difficult, but again, it could be your chart, really kind of depends. So it might be manifesting, maybe you've entered into leadership a position at work, and it's basically requiring more work, or maybe you're trying to enter into a leadership position, or you're trying to advance in your career, and that's what this transit is all about. Again, you determine what your goals are and how you're going to go about them. It could be about being more publicly visible, similar to the 11th house. Maybe you might become a celebrity. Maybe you might become an internet sensation. Who knows? But I would just, again, a caution these Aries rising as you are called to action and to achieving your greater, higher goals, your 10th house goals. Just again, be mindful of your negative self-talk. Know that the work is going to be hard or labor intensive, but be ready. And just remember that you are the author of your own fate. That's my personal belief, is that, you know, we determine our destinies. These planetary energies are there for a reason, and it's all about how we work with them. So that's what I think this means for Aries rising. Did you want to?
Two things came to my mind because I completely agree with you. And yeah, I went for this family constellations therapy coaching session at the weekend. And then it kind of made me wake up a little bit at some point, really. I truly recommend that to everyone anyway. But Saturn was pretty much on my mind, actually, during the last weekend. Anyway, the reason why Saturn was on my mind is because when you really try to work with the energies, which is kind of you download from the collective power, then they work with you. But if you don't download anything, you don't learn from it, you're only going to get the kick in the butt feeling. And then that's the time when we really start, you know, mourning and crying that life is not supporting us, because you don't order it from the universe. Yes. And another thing which came to my mind is, because I could talk about it for hours,
Same.
because I've got my little overview over astrology now. But you know, many of you say, "Oh, it didn't happen to me what the stars are promising." But in my opinion, it's because you haven't ordered it. But secondly, you introduce something which I think is very important. It's called SACT, and which says that if you've got a night chart, and night chart means that the sun is going to be under the horizon. So imagine that you've got your rising sign, and then you've got the descendant, and then you draw a line between those 2 points. If the sun is underneath, then you've got a night chart. And that means that Saturn is the most cruel planet in a night chart. And let me explain to you why. Saturn has got a quality, a nature of dry and cold. So what happens at night is that obviously the weather cools down. So actually it suppresses those energies for Saturn. I mean, actually it becomes even colder. So Saturn awakes a little bit. But when it's daytime, what happens is things getting hotter. So Saturn heats up a little bit as well, and then it starts being more like a constructive planet. It's gonna give you constructive criticism, but it doesn't want to hurt you. It gives you advice. So that's the whole idea about Sag, that Saturn is gonna be the most malefic planet in a night chart, and it becomes more constructive in a day chart. In day chart, Mars is going to be the biggest enemy of yours. I usually call it frenemy, because it's a hot planet, so daytime it becomes even hotter. And in a day chart, Jupiter is the most malefic, and in a night chart, Venus is going to become the most malefic. So those natives who were born actually at night, before sunrise and after sunset, they might not feel Saturn energy so strongly. Yes.
I agree.
Except Aries rising sign. No matter what, Aries will feel that. Because Aries will be there. Mars will be in the sign of Aries from September till November. No matter what day part you were born at, you will feel it. Mm-hmm. Surely.
Yeah. So
joy is the ultimate creator. Okay. Very nice.
That. Yes, I like that. All right. So the next sign, or rising sign, is Taurus.
Go on Taurus.
Yeah, Taurus rising. So with Taurus rising, this Saturn-Pluto conjunction and Saturn return is going to be in your 9th house. And the 9th house is all about your aspirations, your higher self, your morals, your philosophical and religious beliefs. It's about your teachers, your gurus, higher education, and maybe some foreign dealings. So with this transit, what this could be about is, again, blockages, maybe some blockages with your educational goals. Maybe there might be some teachers or some issues with some teachers, or just with the lesson plan, what have you. Or maybe you're wanting to become a teacher. You know, it could be inspiring you to become a teacher, or maybe you could be taking some faith-based classes, or maybe some ethical training, potentially for work. The 9th house is also the 3rd from the 7th. So these are like your siblings of your long-term partners, or relatives of your long-term partner. So maybe it could be about restructuring your relationship with them, if there have been some blockages before. But again, ultimately, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when you consider the top 3 placements in your chart, Sun, Moon, and Rising, body, mind, and spirit, I think that ultimately we have the power to manifest just about whatever it is that our aspirations are. And it really is dependent upon the faith that you have in your ability to achieve those goals. So that's what I have to say about Taurus rising.
I would like to add just a little bit to it, because Saturn in your natal chart is in the 9th house, and then you will feel all these energies going on in your natal 9th house by transits. And actually it's opposing your 3rd house, and 3rd house talks about your unconscious mind. And the 9th house talks about the functioning of your higher minds. Now, because 9th house is an expansive house, like it's all about expansion, because it's a Jupiter Sagittarius energy. Actually, it talks about your personal philosophical approach to life, your goals, the perception of the reality of life, and so forth. And what Saturn could be doing here is that it makes you a little bit practically minded. And You know, because you've got a stellium transit going on, it means that you have to reach out to your opposite house a little bit and using the unconscious mind a little bit more than the practical one. Basically, a good piece of advice for Taurus is don't be close-minded this year. Allow your fantasy and your fancy ideas to come forward, because the practicality needs to be left a little bit behind. Don't dismiss any of your ideas very quickly, because Saturn might bring a little bit of a suffer for you. And you know, Taurus rising sign is a fixed energy, and fixed talks about being stubborn.
Yeah.
Now we've got so much Earth going on that talks about grounding energy. But actually, for Taurus rising sign, it wants to teach you to fly a little bit. Let's not forget Uranus is in your first house as well. So that is all about, you know, taking risks, seeing things outside the box.
Yeah, being flexible.
Exactly, yeah. Being flexible. Or the question is, do you want to experience some crisis situations? And I guess you don't. Yeah, so
okay.
The constructive attitude and become a little bit more flexible.
Yeah. So what do we have?
When I lean on certainty and faith, I change my mind about the world I see.
Wow.
Which is very ninth house energy.
Yes, I love it.
I think we are guided by angels as well to draw the right cards.
Yes. All right. So
Gemini.
Beautiful Gemini. So with Gemini rising, this your natal Saturn is going to be in your 8th house, and so the Saturn return is happening there. Saturn Pluto conjunction is happening there, and the 8th house is all about sex. It's about intimacy. It's about death, rebirth, and your inheritance, the not so sexy things. It's about taxes and insurance, and it's about your psychic sensitivity. It's about sometimes deep research, and it's also about the financial, physical, moral, and spiritual support that we receive from others. So some of the things that I can see or I think might, this energy might play out for Gemini rising is maybe some endings related to blockages with intimacy from your partner, because the 8th house is about your partner's resources and the intimacy that you share between your partner. It might be about, you know, doing some deep digging and research. It might be, maybe you're deciding to embark on some new studies, maybe astrology or some occultic topics, and you're just deciding that that's, you're wanting to dive in and learn more about it. You know, Pluto's at home here, so there might be some endings or blockages concerning financial support from others. So depending on what your long-term goals are, if you're trying to gain the support, financial support, whatever the case may be, it may be about the ending to that, and now you're gaining that support. It also could be about the ending to blockages related to your partner's resources, or depending on how old you are. So it could be about estate planning. It could be about, so depending on what tax bracket you're in, it could be about learning how to reduce your tax burden with the goal of maintaining more of your earned income. Some of those very practical things that Saturn can inspire in one's life. Yeah. So I don't like to, when I do this, I like to focus, I try to focus on some of the more positive things, but the reality is sometimes it could play out a multitude of ways. So Saturn's about stones. So maybe it could be maybe passing some kidney stones, which, which is a very real thing. I wouldn't want to wish that upon anyone, but that definitely is a real and possible possibility.
You know, I think we shouldn't be afraid of illnesses, because those are signs for us to change our lives a little bit. You know, a kidney stone, because you brought that up, is talking about relationship problems. It talks about, the stone actually talks about frustration, which has been going on for such a long time in your relationship, and that wants to pass by. That's what the stone wants, to get out of your system. And then if you need to do that in an artificial way, basically it talks about the fact that you curing the symptoms, but actually you don't cure the root of the problem. You know, Saturn can be the planet of death as well, and the death can take you away very quickly. But that's the reason why I don't really like the meaning death, the 8th house, because it's so much nicer to approach it from the resurrection type of perspective.
Yeah.
And that talks about leaving the past behind, closing one door and opening another other. So again, we're talking about choices here. Yeah. How about Libra?
All right. So before we go on to Libra.
Sorry, let's have a look
okay.
at our card. Yes.
All right.
I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love.
Wow.
Yes. And you know why it's very relevant? Because shadow is ruled by 8th house.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also 8th house talks about trust issues.
Yeah.
And thinking about that, the 2nd house is the opposite house. It also talks about your self-worth as well.
Yeah.
Do you feel appreciated by your partner? Are those self-worth issues present in your relationship, and so forth? Because 8th house talks about your soulmate connections as well.
Yeah.
And that's why the intimacy belongs there as well, because during an intimate moment, you kind of die for a second and then you resurrect.
I like that. All right. So for Cancer Rising, this your natal Saturn is going to be in your 7th house, and then the Saturn return and Pluto conjunction is going to be there also. So the 7th house is all about cooperation. It's about your close relationships, your marriage, your business partnerships, potentially your grandparents, and legal issues. It's about your known enemies, your known opposition, and how you deal, your public dealings. And it's about how others see you. So with this transit, maybe you might be restructuring some of your close personal relationships. You know, maybe you may have been having some issues if you're married, some marital issues, and you're working through those things. Maybe you've gone to counseling, and and then you're trying to really work through there, because Saturn there, it wants to hold on. You know, it wants to stabilize relationships, because it values relationships. You know, Saturn likes being in the 7th house. It's exalted in the sign of Aries and the sign of Libra, but it likes being in the 7th house. So it could be about maybe finding of a partner, a long-term partner, or maybe the possibility of marriage. It could be about the ending of some legal issues. And it could be about also maybe the loss of a grandparent. Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree there. And then I just want to rephrase a couple of things, because as you said, it's all about marriage. And yeah, some of you might experience divorce. But actually those who have got Saturn in the 7th house, in the sign of Capricorn, they tend to be late bloomers. Meaning that it's not about being ugly, for instance. It's not about being appealing to others. It's more about the fact that I don't want to sleep around. Mm-hmm. I want to find a Prince Charming who is going to be staying with me forever. In my opinion, Capricorn is the sign of eternal love. Capricorn might not be the most loving and caring sign, but they always want to find a soulmate connection which is going to last forever. They don't want to change partners all the time. For those who are single, actually, it might be just talking about the fact that leave your fears and insecurities behind, and then a successful marriage or a relationship can come around. especially if your 5th house and the 10th house ruler are also involved somehow. You're going to have to check that for yourself. Yeah, so it could be a very positive manifestation for them, surely.
All right. So,
what is our card?
can you read that?
Hope is the conduit for miracles.
Wow, I like that.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
hope. Have hope. So if you're having some difficulties in your relationships with others, have hope. Yeah, hope can go a long way, I would think.
For sure.
For sure. Leo rising.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. So with Leo rising, this your natal Saturn is going to be in your 6th house, and then your Saturn return and Pluto conjunction is going to be there as well. So the 6th house is all about your diet. It's about how you dress yourself. It's about your daily habits and your hygiene. It could be about illnesses. It could be about, you know, your little small ones that you love, the pets. You know, it's a, you know, daily habits and routine. So sometimes it's about the house of grudges. And so for Leo rising, maybe this could be about a new line of work that you're undertaking. So a new job or a new line of work. This could be about restructuring your health routines, your diet, even your wardrobe. So maybe you might be going in and cleaning out your closet. So there's this woman, I think she's a Japanese woman, Marie Kondo, and she's all about decluttering. So this could be about, you know, restructuring your wardrobe. This could be also about the ending to a long-standing legal matter. Or if you, by chance, if you are been having difficulties with maybe a boss at work, maybe it could be them leaving, and so the lifting of that burden related to some authoritative figure at your work. But if you are the owner of your business, because we know that Leos like to own their own businesses, right? So maybe this is about implementing some new corporate structures within your business. It could also be about divorce, because Saturn is a natural ruler of your 7th house, and Saturn would be transiting the 12th of the 7th. So this could be about the loss of a long-term relationship. Did you have anything else to add to that, Victor?
You have been very thorough, but I have got a little bit to add to it, because whenever you mention something, just something comes to my mind. So 6th house is the house of self-denial, and self-denial in the sense that you don't please yourself anymore. Now let's just clarify what 6th house means, because I think this is one of the houses which we interpret or misunderstand the most. Obviously, you've got the 1st house, which is talking about me, myself, and then you've got the 7th house, which talks about you and other people. So, I mean, about other people. 6th house is basically the house where you kind of dress up, you open your front door, and once you step outside, that talks about already 7th house, because you are in connection with other people. 6th house is more like a little bit of a private house. It's about, I'm about to open the door energy. And what it means is that the self-denial comes into the picture because you might have got a tendency to put off pleasing yourself. And you mentioned the wardrobe. Actually, it might be just an indication to change your wardrobe, to feel better about yourself. You mentioned changing lifestyle. It's again about feeling and pleasing yourself. And not because you want to take care of your health. Of course, you want to do that. But 6th house talks about the body. So how you feel in your mind, that's the resonation what the body takes up as well. So illnesses would be you know, an energy coming out of you which want to come onto the surface, and then it serves as a reminder. And sixth house is a house of service. It talks about practitioners. So, you know, Saturn might be bringing here, for instance, back pains. So if you've got any back pain, go and then visit a massage therapist.
You know, can I
work hard for your money. Do not, you know, save up your money like hiding it under the pillow because I'm going to need it in 2 decades time. No, it's about pleasing yourself.
You know, in terms of the back pain, that was something that came to mind. I had a conversation with a friend of mine. She actually used to be my former boss. And we were just checking in, and I asked her how she was. And so she goes, well, you know, I've been having some issues with my throat for the past couple of days. And if it doesn't, you know, today's okay, but if it comes back, I'm probably going to go see someone about it. So what came to mind, and I said to her, maybe, because I thought about the chakras in your body. And so I immediately thought about the throat chakra. I said, could this be about you wanting to say something to someone? And basically you're holding your tongue, you're holding it in. So there's this blockage in your throat. And she said to me, we're, you know, emailing each other. And she said, that very well could be it. I'll make sure that I'll talk to them, you know? So with the back issues, sometimes there are blockages that come about through other areas where we're holding, you know, something in, you know, the back, what, I can't remember what chakra that is, but where the back relates to the chakra in your body, but it could be about clearing that energy out there. You know, it could be about holding some burden in, and there it just, and it's manifesting as back pain.
You know, back pain usually talks about carrying so much responsibility that you can't cope with it anymore. It talks about the fact that you might be in the trap of living to work and not to work to be able to live.
Yeah.
And these two things are completely different. And this is what actually these transits are talking about to Leo rising sign. You know, Leo has got a tendency to be lazy. Surely, we know that. But when you've got such a planetary alignment in the sixth house, Leo might get a little bit scared because they don't see the money come in. And Leo is all about flashing things, luxurious things. And, you know, maybe Leo wants to go on holiday 3 times a year, but, oh, in the last couple of years, I could only afford it once a year. So they panic. And that's when the back pain comes in because they tend to be overworking themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be the Leo energy. Let's see what the cards.
Let's see what the cards say.
My outer experiences are a reflection of my internal condition. Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's exactly what we kind of talked about. Wow.
Yes, I love this. All right.
Let's go on to Virgo.
Virgo. So with Virgo rising, this natal, your natal Saturn is going to be in your 5th, and you know, your Saturn Pluto conjunction, it's going to be there as well. So the 5th house is about your creativity. It's about the things that bring you pleasure. It's about the things you do for fun, your hobbies. It's about children. It's about, you know, people you date and romance. It's about your artistic abilities. And it's about sex, and it's also about the love that you give. So with Virgo rising, maybe there's, again, with Saturn being a very restrictive nature, kind of energy, maybe you've been holding back on the love that you give to the people that you love, your children or someone you're dating. And now is the time to refocus that energy and to restructure it and maybe go about a new way of giving love in the way that those people in your life need and deserve. This could be about starting a new business and the early planning stages of that. But just know that there's going to be a lot of work ahead. So be mindful of that. It could be about simply scheduling time for fun, you know, because Virgos like to schedule things. And this is the house of fun. The fifth house could also talks about pregnancy. So it could be about pregnancy, or maybe the loss of a pregnancy. So those are some of the things that I think could bring about with this energy. What do you have to add, Victor?
Pretty much that's it for me as well. I just wanted to say that Saturn is the planet of balloon party popper, you know, and Saturn, the natal Saturn being in the fifth house, has got the tendency not to have fun at all. Or they might think that I am a bad date. There's no point in me going on a date because people don't really enjoy my company. But what's true about them is that sometimes they have got a couple of shots and then they completely become someone different. And then they are acting like a spirit is haunting them. They don't even recognize themselves. And that just means that you've got another side to you as well. You've got a fun side to you. And as Barbara said, fifth house is the house of play and self-expression. The transits here are asking you to have a little bit of a fun. Let's not forget, Saturn is the planet of guilt. So you might be starting building up some guilt, you know, just before I'm gonna go out with a couple of friends of mine to have a drink or to have a laugh or whatever you are up for. But actually in that case, your fears started talking, because you might feel that you cannot express your fun side. So this year is the time when you can work on that, and you should be working on it.
And disclaimer, I actually have Saturn natally in my fifth, and I can identify with having to or needing to have a drink just to loosen up sometimes.
You know, I don't recommend having a drink, but, you know, just finding, you know, there are so many good ways to, I'll show you one technique, for instance, I learned on the weekend. When you tap it right here, at least 30 times, your anxiousness starts going away.
Interesting.
Especially when you can't sleep, for instance, at night. That also talks about fear. Now, I'm not going to explain because this video is not about alternative healing methods, but if you hit this point, your anxiousness goes away. Okay. Or if you've got sleeping problems, because Virgo has got a tendency as well. It's all about just pulling your fingers, holding them very tight, and you're going to see that you're going to fall asleep within 10, 15 minutes. Just try it at home.
I forgot you did say you used to be a masseuse in a past life too. So
yeah, I used to be, and then I studied kinesiology as well, which is talking about the muscle memory. And we are able to test some of your blockages through your muscles, which has got a connection to your subconscious. Yeah. So I'm gaining information out of your subconscious, and it's fascinating. Now, memory belongs to Cancer, but it also brings in the Saturnian energies as well. So it pretty much belongs there.
Yeah. So
there is a stream of love supporting my dreams.
Fifth house is about fifth house can be about dreams. It's about your creative dreams, your creativity. Yeah. So
and love as well.
Love as well. Yes.
We forgot to mention, but they can even find the love. Too, if they're up for it.
That is very true.
Go Virgo. Let's have a look at what's happening with Libra.
The Libra, the lovers, the Venusian. Okay, so for Libra rising, your natal Saturn is going to be in your fourth house, and so the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is going to be there as well. And the fourth house is all about, it's about your property. It's about your security. It's about your heritage, your home, your private life. It's about your roots, your parents, your family, and also the closing years of your life. So with Libra rising, you know, this could be about a new home. You know, there could be maybe you're looking to move your home, or it could be about restructuring your home. So I think it was, I can't remember whether it was Leo with the sixth house. So this could be about you again, downsizing, or maybe using that Marie Kondo, reorganizing your home, getting some order within your home. It could be about taking care of a parent. Saturn is older people, or it could be, you know, with Saturn ruling the 10th, it's arguably, again, whether the 4th or the 10th house, which parent it might be, but it could be about taking care of a parent. It could also be about the loss of a parent. You also, Libra, you could be interested in studying, maybe learning about with those like 23andMe, maybe learning about your blood type and learning about your heritage. And so it could be about researching your roots and your heritage, or even trying to figure out how far your lineage goes back, and maybe connecting with some of the tribes, or the wherever you may be from. So this could be this transit could be bring about that. Did you have anything to offer?
Fourth house also talks about the homeland. So maybe where you live, the city or the village are going to be seeing some energy shifting, energy changes, which is also going to be affecting you on a personal level. But how I wanted to approach the Saturn in the fourth house is, as you mentioned, fourth house talks about your family, your roots. And Saturn is a little bit a cold and dry planet. So they have not so much capability of nurturing. And the fourth house talks about nurturing. And most probably the reason why Saturn cannot nurture here so much, because they have got some childhood memories. And it could be a topic in your own relationship as well this year, that why are you not able to hand yourself over fully to the relationship?
Yeah.
Or the kids are not feeling that warmth and affection from you. These kind of conversations you might be experiencing, either in your own family, in your marriage, or with your parents, for instance. Again, Saturn being the planet of fear, it's about letting go of those old karmic wounds, what has been created. And maybe you want to do that by hypnosis, going down to the roots of the problem, and then just, open up your heart chakra, really. Yes. Now, maybe you could have a little bit of an argument over household chores.
Sure.
Your wife or with your husband. That could also be the case.
Yeah.
But let's hope this is the worst, which could happen to you, household chores.
Yeah. And so it also could be about, since we're talking about roots and your home and your property, there could be some blockages, maybe with plumbing or trees or something clogging plumbing. That's what this transit could be about, and having to fix those things. Yeah.
This is the house of patriotism as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's just a period of time when you're going to be taking part more in the local community as well, protecting the homelands, and so forth. It's an interesting one, because if you have a look at the Libra countries, Libra Rising countries, they have gone through earthquakes, volcano eruptions, fire, and some type of natural disaster things. Yeah. So unfortunately, these natives might have to experience such events as well with these planetary alignments. And I hope they won't.
All right. So what do we have here?
So, it's upside down.
Oh, it's upside down. Okay.
I am a spirit having a human experience, and I am here to get closer to love. Again, the nurturing element is there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Scorpio Rising then.
So for Scorpio Rising, this your natal Saturn is going to be in your third house, and your Saturn return Pluto conjunction is going to be there. So the third house is all about your awareness, your rational mind. your early education. It's about your siblings. It's about your neighbors and the people in your immediate environment. It's about how you communicate, how your writing skills, and it's about media matters. It's about learning new skills, and it's also about short trips. So for Scorpio rising, how this might play out is maybe if you own your own business, this might be about restructuring your advertising campaign to reach a wider audience. Maybe this transit is inspiring you to become, so maybe you're thinking about just branching out, being an explorer or a tourist of your own community. So it's maybe you're deciding you want to take hikes, because Saturn is about rocks. So maybe, I don't know where you live, could be maybe deciding to hike a mountain, maybe exploring some local parks within your community. This might be a time when you've been maybe just sharpening your skills, your writing skills, and maybe taking some classes to help, maybe for work or for a business that you own. It might be about learning to use social media to help you in whatever goals that you might have. And if you're wanting to embark upon, if you're wanting to be more actively engaged into the social media atmosphere, this transit could be about, tearing away those fears and inspiring you to have the courage to maybe start a YouTube channel or creating some social media account, and just, to be, to better organize and promote yourself and whatever it is that you have to offer. So that's what I think could be some of the themes for Scorpio rising.
As I said in regards to the ninth house, that the third house is the unconscious operating in the mind. But this is more to do with the familiar circumstances, surroundings. Because think about it, Saturn talks about routine, and third house talks about immediate environment, familiar surroundings. You act in those naturally. But now you've got all these transiting planetary alignments happening in your third house. Actually, you might be forced to make decisions upon there in the situation, which might make you be frustrated about it. And then it just talks about the fact that you have to review how your mind works, why you have got some type of anxiety if you've got a sudden decision to make, for instance. So I think the planetary alignment happening in the third house is more about getting ready for situations where you're going to have to make life-changing decisions. And you did mention something to do with marketing and PR and social media, and I agree with that. Don't take your time to make those decisions. It's about right now, fix it now, don't postpone things. And that's very true also if you've got the natal Saturn in the 6th house as well, because that's a Virgo house, that's a Mercury ruled energy as well.
Yeah.
For the moment, take the decision, make the decisions now, don't postpone anything else.
And
don't postpone anything, basically.
I just have a practical example. I don't have Saturn in the 3rd house, but I guess if I did, this probably could be relative. Yesterday at work, there were we had some people coming in, and they needed to have access to the internet. So I needed to request Wi-Fi for them. And it was something that I hadn't done before. And so one of my colleagues, were having a meeting. He could basically see that I was getting a little bit anxious about it. And I wear this necklace all the time. I don't know if you can read it, but
don't panic.
Yeah. And he says, and that's pretty much what he said. He says, take the advice of your necklace. Don't panic. Yeah. And things ended up working out. you know.
You
So
know,
I
I
was,
can give you a personal example as well. I think I mentioned the example recently, but a friend of mine got cheated on by her husband. And actually, the guy has got Saturn in the third house. He has got huge communicational issues going on. He is not able to tell the girlfriend what he wants, what he doesn't want. Basically, he's not able to stand up for himself and for the environment around him either.
yeah.
But what happened was they have been struggling for a couple of years, and then now my friend's midheaven got activated by Saturn Pluto, and she's got a moon conjunct in her midheaven as well,
Okay.
which rules her seventh house. Oh no, sorry, it rules not on the seventh house. The moon comes from the seventh house because she's got. No, I'm mixing up. Sorry, her Saturn is in the seventh house, and then it comes to the midheaven. So anyways, after 2 years of struggle, she decided to break up this relationship. But she moved away already twice from this guy, and the guy didn't take it serious. Now it happened, and then he's completely devastated, and then he feels he didn't do anything wrong. When he got to the situation that they had to make a decision over the property they just bought recently together, he completely froze. He has no idea what to do. And that is so much of that Saturn in the third house reflection. He has no idea what to say.
Yeah.
So that's why I brought that to the viewer's attention as well, because the decision needs to be made now, not next year.
And it's a very great example of, or illustration of Saturn in the third house, because it is a house of communication, and Saturn there can create blockages.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about our cards?
Card. So what do we have here?
I surrender to a power greater than me. Oh, very nice.
Good. All right. So for the next sign, we've got Sagittarius Rising. So for Sagittarius Rising, this Saturn-Pluto conjunction and your natal Saturn will all be in that second house of yours. So the second house is about your valuables. It's about your investments. It's about your earning power. It's about your self-worth, your possessions. It's about, I've said this before, and I really feel this strongly. It's about the nourishment that you give to the first house, the physical body.
Yeah.
So for Sagittarius Rising, this could be about learning to have a healthy dose of optimism with realism, and manifesting tangible material things with regard to your earned income. So maybe there might be some blockages or some, related to that, or maybe you're having to really pay attention to what things are going out and really structure your budget so that you don't overspend, and spending on what matters most. This might be a time when you begin reflecting that your second house, again, is about your self-worth, maybe demanding or asking for the income or the salary that you now feel you're worth. Maybe you feel like you're being underpaid, and it's about stepping up and says, you know what, I want to go somewhere where I feel like my time, I'm valued for the time that I give, or that I'm giving. So, or for others, this could be about, because Pluto's there and Pluto's about transformation. This could be a time of reaping the fruits of your labor, and maybe there's maybe a windfall of money that could be coming in potentially. And you just basically need to make sure that you manage it well, because you don't know when the next maybe dry spell will come, so this could be about that. So again, with Sagittarius Rising, they're ruled by Jupiter, and so Jupiter is also there, and so Jupiter doesn't like being there. So it could be about having to restructure, or again, as I said earlier, about tempering their beliefs. But I would offer this for Sagittarius Rising with this Saturn, with this placement, is that I believe that, according to your beliefs, so shall it be unto you. So try to keep the faith. Try to keep the faith, but measurable faith. Because that's what Saturn wants you to, to realize that, you have dreams, you have visions, you have goals, but come down a little bit, because Saturn is, it's the earth energy. It wants to pull you down to, reality. Jupiter is a gaseous planet. So it's just like, just high, kind of up in the air. So it just wants you to pull you back into reality and to focus on the things that, in this time, that are real and possible. So that's what I have to say and share for Sagittarius. What else do you have to
I would just mention that I do love traditional astrology, but I think sometimes the interpretations of the traditional meaning of certain planets in certain houses are misunderstood.
Okay.
So traditional astrology says that having Saturn in the second house is all about lack of money, lack of possessions, and so forth. But actually, I don't think that's true, because I think this position is more about pessimism.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I've got loads of people around me who have got Saturn in the second house, and they are millionaires. Yes, it might have come in the second part of their lives, but they never gave up. They usually come from quite a poor family, but somehow they worked their ways up, and they decided at an early age, you know what, I'm not gonna do what my parents did. I'm gonna make money for myself. Second house could be talking about your parents as well.
Yeah.
It could be talking about what you inherit from your parents, and not from the money perspective, what characteristic qualities and so forth. And then if you bring those poorness qualities into your life, you're gonna stay poor. So it's all about don't be pessimistic. And I think this planetary alignment happening in the second house might bring you some trouble around your finances. That's true, but you shouldn't be giving up. You shouldn't be panicking straight away. It's all about staying optimistic, be a true Sagittarius rising sign, and yeah, think about how I can tweak the situation a little bit around so that I could do better. And let's not forget, Saturn rules your third house. So maybe something to do with social media, you're going to have to be creative with, and so forth. In that case, I would say have a look at where your natal Pluto is and combine the energy with the second one, because that might be bringing in the transformation, the power for you. So let's suppose you've got Pluto in the seventh house. Maybe just align your business with someone else. Get advice from another person. And maybe that's the solution to the whole situation. Yes, and what does our card? What is our card telling us? Through prayer and meditation, I create a ripple effect of peace in the world. Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
I even like the color of that card as well. Well,
all right.
I think we got to the end of it. We covered all the 12 signs.
We did. We certainly
Guys,
did.
I really hope you've enjoyed this series of videos of the cardinal energies. To go through all of the signs is a huge job, but what we plan to do is we're going to be doing 2 more videos of the Saturn series, and then we're going to give you an overview of what the fixed energies might be expecting, and then last but not least, what the mutable energies might be expecting. And the reason why we went through one by one with the cardinal energies was because they are going to feel it the most. There is always a square and an opposition formed with all these planetary alignments. The rest of them also will feel it, but not this strongly. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit of a recap video of the fixed and the mutable energies in the upcoming week. Thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you, Victor. I had fun.
I think your insights are just growing and growing. So
Thank
it's
you.
good to see.
Well, it's a good to have a good partner to kind of bounce some ideas, and the banter, I think, just flows. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Guys, if you like the video, don't hesitate to press like. We always love a little bit, you know, and an appreciation from you. And if there is any idea you would like us to discuss in upcoming videos, then please use the comment box below. And we definitely will consider those. And thank you, Barbara, and have a lovely day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.